The air inside the hospital room pulsed with urgency, monitors beeping like distant alarms of fate. On the narrow bed, a young woman clutched her swollen belly, her face pale yet fierce, fighting to bring 3 fragile lives into the world. Every contraction stole her breath, but not her resolve. Doctors and nurses moved swiftly around her, voices tense, their words blurring into fragments she barely grasped. Blood pressure, emergency, life-threatening. She understood only one truth. Time was slipping away. With trembling lips, she whispered the only plea that mattered. "Save them. Please save my babies." At that very moment, across town, her husband, once the man who had promised forever, stood in front of a glittering crowd, a smile fixed as he placed a ring on another woman's finger. Champagne glasses clinked, cameras flashed, and laughter filled the air. He was celebrating a new beginning while she was clinging to the edge of life. And in that cruel split second, 2 worlds moved in opposite directions, one drowning in sacrifice, the other soaring on betrayal. She hadn't always known loneliness. Years earlier, his voice had been her anchor, his promises painted in colors so vivid she believed in forever. Their love story began like a dream, lavish dinners, whispered vows beneath city lights, his hand always steady in hers. But as his empire grew, so did the distance. Business trips stretched into weeks, his phone calls shorter, his eyes colder. She tried to bridge the silence with sonograms, handwritten notes, and gentle reminders that 3 tiny hearts beat inside her. His reply was a distracted nod, a muttered, "I'll handle it later." Nights became endless vigils by the window, waiting for footsteps that never came. Then one morning, as she scrolled through her phone with trembling hands, the truth cut sharper than any blade. A glossy headline revealed him, dressed in a tailored suit, hand entwined with another woman's, planning a wedding. In that moment, she realized the betrayal wasn't sudden. It had been unfolding all along, while she prayed love could still hold him. The operating room glowed with harsh white light, every shadow chased away, yet fear lingered heavy in the air. Her body trembled as a storm of voices surrounded her, nurses calling out numbers, a doctor urging speed, machines shrieking warnings. She fought to stay conscious, her hand clutching the sheet as though it could anchor her to this world. A mask descended toward her face, and she heard the question no mother should face. "Do we save you, or do we save them?" The words carved into her soul, but her answer was instant, whispered through cracked lips. "My babies, save them." A tear slid down her cheek as the first incision was made. Outside, the hallway echoed with hurried footsteps. Her dearest friend burst through the doors, her eyes wide with terror, her heart burning with loyalty. She caught her hand just in time, and in that desperate squeeze, a silent promise was sealed to protect the children no matter the cost. Inside the chaos, 3 lives were about to take their first breath. Crystal chandeliers glittered above a hall filled with laughter, polished shoes tapping against marble as music swelled. The man at the center of it all raised his glass, his smile wide enough for the cameras but empty of warmth. He spoke of love, of beginnings, of futures built on dreams, but his words were rehearsed, crafted more for investors and headlines than for heart. At his side stood a woman draped in silk and ambition, her hand clasped around his as though sealing a business deal rather than a vow. The crowd applauded, enchanted by the image of perfection, never suspecting the truth lurking in the shadows. His phone buzzed in his pocket, a silent reminder of the woman who had once been his world, now lying in a hospital bed, her body breaking while giving life to his children. He glanced at the screen, silenced the call, and turned back to the celebration. To him, the show mattered more. But fate was already writing a story that no spotlight could hide. The cries of 3 newborns filled the sterile silence, fragile yet defiant, each sound a declaration that life had chosen them. Tiny fists waved in the air as doctors hurried to place them in incubators, their breaths shallow but determined. A nurse whispered their names softly, as though giving them strength, while the woman, who had given everything for them, drifted into stillness, her body too weak to respond. Just outside the glass wall of the neonatal unit, her closest friend stood, with tears burning in her eyes, pressing her palm to the window as if she could shield them through sheer will. She remembered the mother's last plea, "Protect them." It was not just a request. It was a vow etched into her heart. Meanwhile, the husband's laughter echoed in a distant ballroom, unaware that the legacy he dismissed was breathing its first fragile breaths. In that moment, the balance of the story shifted. The children had survived, and with them, a promise of justice yet to come. Morning sunlight spilled through the hospital blinds, casting golden rays over the fragile forms of 3 tiny fighters. Their cries were softer now, steadier, as if each breath was proof of the sacrifice that had carried them here. Beside them, their guardian stood tall, her hand resting on the glass, her heart blazing with a mixture of grief and determination. She knew these children were more than infants. They were a legacy, a living reminder that love and courage could outshine betrayal. Somewhere across town, the man who had abandoned them basked in headlines, believing his new chapter erased the old. But destiny has a way of remembering, and every choice carries weight. As she whispered a promise over the sleeping babies, "You will never walk this life alone." The room felt charged with something greater than sorrow. It was the beginning of a story not of endings but of resilience, where broken trust would be rebuilt into strength and innocence would rise above injustice.